Hi guys, this is Abdurrahman Gilal, and in this video I'll tell you something about strings and strings methods in PHP. First of all, what is a string? It is, it's a simple definition. If I say a string is a collection of characters. So in like low-level language or middle-level languages such as Java or C or C++, where a character is a primitive data type and then a string is a non-primitive data type, which means in order to form the string, we need to have a lot of characters to merge, and then only we can make a string. For example, in order to write apple, I have to have A, P, P, L, E, which is going to be too long if they store in five or six different variables. So that's why they have non-primitive, which means simply that a string will be the combination or collection of different characters, right? So in a general format, we say a string is a collection of characters, which is basically going to help us to form a text. So when you're working with a dynamic website, so technically you're saying that you are allowing user to interact with you. So they can be passing you a lot of data, such as a lot of vlogs or blogs or something, and then how you store them into the database. Sometimes they give you username and password. So how you gonna store them? So usually you should store them into variable, and those variables of type of strings, because user data, it may not necessarily be only the numeric data. It could be non-numeric. So in this video I'll tell you that how many ways we can interact with strings in PHP. But in order to go further into it, I must tell you that PHP is a language that is basically based on two famous languages such as Perl and C. So it shares the libraries that are there in the C or in Perl. So which means that if you have already learned the string library in in C language, which means a lot of methods will be similar as in here. That's why I just simply prepared something for you guys to just quickly discuss. So let me show you the code that I have it here. So it's just my variable, which is don't worry about that. I'll explain you everything here. So let's say this is my variable, which is hello world, and I'm writing in double quotation. So the good thing about PHP is that you do not have to worry about quotation types. So if you have something in single quotation, let's say like this, that's also okay. So let's say you write single quotation. I'm sorry about that. So you write single quotation, and then you save it. It's still gonna be string, so you don't have to worry. How are we gonna know that it's gonna be string or not? Like say get type, and then you put your variable that is a string, right? So you're gonna see. I'm sorry, I have already set up this. That's why like you see it's a string type. So I do not have this BR here, which is really bad. So I have to put it here. So not good. Yeah. So you see the type of variable is string. So what if I change it to double quotation? Sorry. Yep. So I change it to double quotation. So now you're gonna see it's still a string. So no difference. Like in C language or Java languages, you have to use double quotation for a string. So this is one of the big differences between those languages and this language. So and the other methods, for example, you have this like hello world, and you have given some spaces into it, which is not gonna be counted in printing, but basically there will be counted in space, right? So let me just show you, like run it here. So it is 17 characters, but in technically we have five like characters here, six, seven, and then five more. So it should be 12, right? But because I have put spaces in front and in the back, it's gonna just show me, everything all inclusive. But when I try to print out, let's say, if I'm trying to print out my string, will it be printing? So sorry about that. So I'm trying to print my string. So you see it print hello world does not print spaces. It's because of the browser's things. It's not because of the language thing. The language is sending the characters like white spaces in front or in the rear with the variable, but because browser does not support the white spaces in front or back or left or right, that's the thing. That's why you don't see them here, but they are there. Definitely they are there. So this is one thing I wanted to discuss. So in order to identify the length, you use the method or function called strlength, and then you put the variable name, and then it gets you what is the length. Okay. If you wanted to see the variable that you have used has a lower, like for example, sometimes like you ask a user to give you email address, so they use small letters in all email addresses. And then when they try to log in, they use the big letters or capital letters. So how you gonna basically make sure that the data that's stored into the database is being compared? So sometimes it's not a good technique that if the user has just used the small latest things and then the data is still correct. So what you do usually you lowercase or uppercase. That's just a logic, right? So in order to do the lowercase, you use the method called str to lower, and it will give you the lower. If you have something to make it upper, you use str to upper. It's the same thing, right? So let's see here. So we have a world called hello world, and then in order to see the lower, it's hello world lower, and see when I see the upper, it's hello world upper. So it's the same thing now. Let's talk about substr, which means substring. So substring means saying is that you take the variable and you tell the variable where exactly is the word that you are going to replace. So if from where it should be, so not replace, to make a substring of it. For example, it says to you from seventh number. So if here now you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So from here, so that's the reason you do not get what you wanted to get. So, and then you say, I wanted to have all those, give me a second. I think the spaces, yeah, should be removed so that we have everything nicely and neatly. So let me refresh it. So, sorry. So you see here now, because I had a problem with my own thing that I have put the spaces, now it will pick up the string, take the position number 7, and will add 5 more characters from the position, and then it will make a substring. So it could be more, it could be less. It's up to you how you're gonna go. So if you do not keep into the variable, it's not gonna be really printed out. So let's say you wanted to update a word that or a string or variable that you have, so you can use the same string here. So it will be replaced by the substring. So that's not a good practice. When you're extracting an information from a string, it's better to keep in different variable. That's why I kept it like substring. And then you can see what's a substring right there. So that's the reason you're gonna see here substring is world. But the actual variable still remains hello world. Okay, so now you wanted to see what's the position of world. Let's say you wanted to keep this str position. You wanted to start directly from str position. So str position tells you from where exactly that word is starting. So let's say I do not know, so I have to have this method called or function called str post. So let me run that and see. So here, no difference at all because I don't know what's the position. So I just keep the method here, or I can keep simple the if I know the number. So let's make it a bit dynamic. So if you make it like that, it's okay. So it only tells you what is the starting position. That's why like when you say position of world, if you see here, it's 7. Does not mean the whole world is on 7. It means it's starting from 7. So even if you count the 5, 6, and 7, so here basically we count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why it's a 7 one, right? So yeah, you should remember that the positions always start from 0. I'm bad because it's the same thing in C language. Okay, so when you wanted to replace something, so you should know what you want to replace. Let's say I wanted to replace world and I wanted to replace it with PHP, right? And which is the string that I'm basically gonna use to replace the world called world and into or with PHP, right? So this is the variable name and this is the finding place which you will be replacing and with what you will be replacing. And then you can either store into the same variable. For example, you're gonna keep it same variable, or you're gonna keep a different variable. So if you're gonna keep it in the same variable, which means the original data will be replaced. That's the thing. So I have not used the original variable here. I'm just keeping the original variable. So now let me run that. So now it's called hello PHP. So it's really, really interesting, right? So as I told you that if you have spaces in front or in the back, it's going to be the same. So you just what you do is that you use the trimmed one. So the trimmed, which gonna do what? At the spaces to the left or spaces to the right, both will be removed. So we have another method, for example, ltrim. So let's say if I say ltrim, it's just gonna remove the spaces from the left. So how would you know that it's really replacing it or not? So I would say see the size, the length. So length of the variable of the variable. So, okay, so let's see now. If you come here and you put this and you say str length, okay, of what? Of trimmed, okay, of trimmed, because in the trimmed, I will see how many letters are trimmed if I'm using trim. So what's the length? Oh, sorry, this must be semicolon issue. Yeah. So what's the length? You're gonna see. Okay, so the length is 13. Okay, so the length. My bad is not I didn't use this. You know. Okay, now you see the length is 13. How about sorry? How about I use L trim? So you're gonna see. So now it's 15 because it did not remove the right hand side ones, only it removes the left hand side. If you have right trim, R trim, it's also going to be the same because I have two here. Let's make it different a bit. So you see now we have 16. If I say R trim or L trim, it's going to be 15. That's how I was saying, like if you apply L trim, it's going to remove the spaces from the left, does not remove from the center or other, words. And if you say R trim, it's going to remove the spaces from the right side. But if you say trim, it's going to remove from both of the sides. That's the difference, right? So let me run it and you see this is perfectly fine. So the word now become hello world, which is okay. And then one thing one should be remembered that you have to store it into variable. Right. So if you wanted to reverse the number, sometimes in order to apply some encryption or hashing techniques, apply some reversing. So str reverse will basically reverse your text. So you see from hello world to exclamation or blah 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 blah. So this is gonna be like that way. So and then you wanted to see if there's a string that is specific keyword or something that is there in the string or not. So what you really do here is you've got a method called str contains from the string that you have, and what are you searching? You're searching world. Let's say you are searching PHP, and then if the PHP is there, it's gonna return to you yes or no. So it's a no. Why? Because first of all, let me bring it to the world and refresh it. So first of all, it will go into the variable, which is hello world, and it will see world. If it's a yes, it will just return one to it. It's not gonna return anything else. You're gonna see here. So if its world is there, it did not return anything because let me. Okay, so you see first I have a world which is in a small letter. W is a capital, or let me see. Yep, where it is, yeah, it is here, right, in a string. So you see my word was in capital W. So if you have a small w, which is not gonna basically find it out, that's a problem. Now if you say it's a capital W, which is gonna return you one, you see here one. If you have a small one, which means small word, so you don't have anything, that's why I cannot see that. So you store it into the variable that is called contains, and then you apply the ternary operator. So ternary operator says, keep the variable name, keep the question mark. If it is yes, or if it is one, it will print yes. If not, then it will print no. You can use if statement if you want to use, but I just use the ternary operator, which is quicker for me to show you yes or not, right? That's why like on the screen, you see no, and you refresh it, you still have no because we don't have the word W capital. So now I'm going to change it and you say it's yes, right? I have a method called str starts with, which means if I wanted to see like if I have something like hello or something to start with, exactly the same thing. If yes or no, yes, my variable starts from hello, so that's why like you're gonna see hello is a starting point. And if you wanted to shuffle, which means that the characters will be mixed up and mingle up, so you cannot just simply see how was that before. Reverse was something that was basically applying an order, but shuffle does not apply any order. So every time you come, it is different position you see here, and you're gonna see like every time it's a different things, right? And the last one, which is called str replace. Str replace, for example, you have a combination of some word which is which is an array, which I have not discussed it with you guys yet. But let's say if you have a different word and then you wanted to change it with certain sequence of words, you can do like that way. For example, hello world, there are two words in an array, and then you wanted to change with hi PHP. So everything that is there in that string hello or world will be changed. That's a point, right? And then that's why like you're gonna see like hello PHP is now the word that has been gone, and the other words such as exclamation or comma, they will be still there. How about if you change the position? For example, you keep world first and then you keep this hello. Is it gonna change it? Let's see. And then you refresh it, you see it's just gonna change the PHP first and hi later. Why? Because it finds the word later, so it's basically gonna change as per the finding. So when it's find world, it changes it to PHP, which is here, right? So world is found first, so it has to be changed with PHP. And then the position of hello will be changed with hi, but definitely with the later one. I hope it's useful. You may have other things you can search out on Google or somewhere to identify like what other methods are there, and you can do more with PHP string. If you got any question, please do not hesitate to ask me. Thank you so much, guys.